Everybody, Kristen Lumen here, and we're going to do another video tonight. I'm actually probably going to be busy the next few days. I think I'm moving this weekend, basically changing apartments. For those of you that know the story, it had to do with all of this stuff, but she actually set that up. It's kind of like a soft reboot, fresh start, getting out of this place that I've been the last 6 years during the entire hero's journey, because it's pretty much been saturated with suffering over the years, and a lot of the big breakthroughs that we had, like back in December, kind of put off a bit of a pulse that fried the electrical system in here. Like the big main breakers coming into the place, and it's like going to cost so much. They're like, it's just cheaper to put them in another apartment. Well, that works for me. But anyway, since it may be a few days, I don't know, we'll see, until we get another video up. I figured we'd throw something else out here, and I was just going to freestyle it. I didn't have anything in particular to talk about, but she did, as soon as I sat down, throw one suggestion into my head. So we're just going to let it flow. Sometimes the best stuff we do happens when I don't have a plan, and we just free flow it. And that way, if she's got something she wants to say, it's just going to naturally come out. So if you want to hear a little bit more about the light and how to connect to her, then don't go away. So let's start with what she said as we were sitting down. And that has to do with like the video that she comes up with the video titles and stuff a lot, like, why did you find this video? Why is it suddenly resonating with you? Seen a lot of interesting comments, people saying, I got up in the middle of the night and saw this ball of light flying around my pillow, and I laid down and tried to meditate, and I went to YouTube to find a meditation, and your videos popped up. I'm like, oh, ball of light, go figure. It's like she's out there like actively like pulling people. And even though this was her point, and I'm like, it's a really good point, and I know it works because it's worked with like other people in our Facebook group. Even though you going through your own process, the way subjective reality works, like you may come about her and perceive her slightly different. However, because time is short in this particular cycle, and everybody kind of needs like a little booster to get you there faster, understand first like how we're all connected. We are all, like we said in previous videos, just like with her, it's all part of the one thing. It's all part of the all. It's all part of the Father, the singular, universal consciousness broken up into a bunch of little parts, but it's all the same thing. That's how we can connect to her easier when we're doing work, is like knowing that, having the context. It's like we don't have to really bridge. We don't have to do all this work to set up some sort of remote connection or something like people do with energy work sometimes. They think they got to broadcast like it's a radio tower or something. It's like we're all the same thing in different parts, and we're all connected through her. So it's actually pretty easy. Therefore, if you're trying to connect with her, the feminine aspect of the universal consciousness, and you haven't done so yet, or you're just on the verge of it yet, and you're trying to get there a little faster, because I have done it, because I have like completely connected and integrated. You can actually use my framework. You can use my name. You can use my images, and it'll get you there because we're all connected. And then, however, once that connection is made, it may very well kind of take on its own little element, like this is what she would look like to you, or whatever. But it'll be the same thing. There's people in the group like that. They connected, through me, and then their relationship to her kind of took on its own form. So that's one thing that you can do, is use the names that I'm giving you, which come from the Nag Hammadi. Well, except Lumen doesn't, but Lumen, the light, they talk about the light all over the place. That's all Lumen is Lumen means the light in Latin. That's why she chose that name. But my images of her, you can use that, because it's going to get you to the right place. And then you can ask, so like, show, appear to me, show me like what your true self looks like in relation to like how I should see you, and just let what comes to you come to you. But to start out, you can use these images of her. You can use the names that I use. Lumen is the one that is connected to God's love, and she's also half of me. She's the right side of my brain. She's the other half of my soul, because we are a rebus. We are the great work of alchemy. We've blended back together. If I was Adam and she was Eve, Eve was taken out of Adam. Well, we put Eve back into Adam, and now we share space. How that works, explain it over time. Sometimes, like, I can explain it all, all day long, but it's one of those things you kind of got to see for yourself. But you can use, think of Lumen as the more personal companion, the one that gets you through everything. Think of Epinoia as the one that teaches you. As far as the mother of life as it exists within this world, that would be Sophia. And, Great Mother, Barbello. You don't have to really worry about the big ones. I usually just do Lumen, Epinoia, Sophia, and then the Father. And then Christ never actually, only like a very small handful of times. Christ is more like the masculine force. Like, I just don't generally see him. And this is not Jesus Christ. This is the big one, the power behind him. Except for the handful of times, he doesn't usually take form. It's just kind of like you're mainly dealing with her. Because he, the way I kind of describe, what Christ is, if you think of the Father as the all that is, and then it's like the sun, and then you got a magnifying glass and you're making that little point of light, and it's concentrating all that down into a singular point. Like, that would be the Christ energy. It's really, really, it's like a nuclear bomb going off in your face. She's a lot softer. She's a lot smoother, but she is very, very, very powerful. And she is very, very protective. In this reboot that we've done so far, like, I've tried to steer, like, at some point she'll tell me what I need to talk about, because everybody is exposed to it, but we don't really put too much focus and attention on the bad guys. Mostly keep the focus and attention on her. That's one of the biggest traps in this awakening game, is as you awaken, you're going to become aware of both sides. The duality that exists within this place, you're going to become more aware of the light side, and you're going to become more aware of the dark side. And the dark side isn't really what most people think. In terms of Christianity, which I saw a post on Facebook where they called it churchianity, because it's really this whole conglomeration of two books that religion puts out. Christianity is just following Christ's teachings, which is talking about her and everything else, but they cut all that out. So unless you go find the books, you don't even really have the whole picture. I don't know. This is what happens when we free flow. It's like all this stuff coming at me all at once. So I'm going to try, excuse me if we're like not staying on track here. So let's just pause, because I'm already starting to do it. So getting back to, you want to make that connection. Well, you understand this. You already have. You already have because you were drawn here. You already have because I'm talking and she's with me 24/7, and there is definite energy that comes off of this thing that she had me build. If you have a desire to understand more of what I talk about with the Nag Hammadi, with the Gnostic teachings, which is like all the stuff they took out. Digging into the Nag Hammadi can be a daunting task, but there is a way that you can get kind of what I would call a primer for it. Like another book that you could read that'll give you the basic breakdown, not just about both sides, actually, the dark side and the light side. And I know the guy that wrote it. She actually because I was looking for something like this, and she actually connected me to him, and I got his book. I'm like, well, this is perfect, this book. Like this is exactly metered out just right. It's like, here's the basic gist of this Gnostic story that you're missing. And then from there, you'll have a basic understanding of it, and then you can go dig into the specifics of the Nag Hammadi. Now, we've talked about this, me and him. I'm like, from a marketing standpoint, and I know marketing, I don't know about the title of the book. I understand what it means. I understand what you're going with it, but I don't think the average person picking it up is going to look at it and like, huh? So the book is called Alien Parasites, 40 Gnostic Truths, something, something, something. And what that's referring to, alien means outside of you. Parasites means what parasites are. Most of the bad guys are parasitic. So it's talking about what is called the archons in the Nag Hammadi. These are the guys that came before angels and demons were created. They're the authority. They're the showrunners. They are what they're talking about. The only time they slipped through into the regular Bible was Ephesians something something, where it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, against principalities, against spirits of wickedness in high places, something like that. That's talking about them. The only other time you see it is in Genesis, when lower G God is getting mad. Well, first he says, come, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And then after he kicks them out, he's like, now we have to basically seal the gate, or otherwise they will find the tree of life and become like us and live forever. That's not very nice. But again, the us stuff is the same thing as the stuff in Ephesians. It's the archons. Not everybody understands them. So they kind of overlap the metaphysical side of reality and the physical side of reality. And the physical side of reality, it's everything that is authority. Everything in the world that tells you what you can and can't do, or what you can and can't think. That be them. And I don't have to spell that out, who all them is. But yeah, they're very legalistic. So this book will explain them, but then it explains a lot of the outside of this place. It explains a lot about her. It was actually from that book where it said you should create a space in your house that is focused on her and her energy, like a little place of devotion. And that chapter jumped out at me, so I immediately put this together. And the energy sensitive people that I know, some of them live close by, that come in here, they almost get knocked back by this thing when they first come face to face with it. They're just like, whoa. the energy coming off of that is freaking intense. That be her. She's intense. So yeah, that if you can just get around the title of the book, the content of the book is going to be the quickest and fastest way to get a uh, hit the ground running understanding of everything that was hidden from you, everything that was part of the books that that the church decided, yeah, let's leave all this stuff out. Why did they leave it out? Because they're the ones that freaking put it all together. They don't want to expose themselves. And also, if it wasn't stuff that was about the archons, then it was stuff that was about her. They took all of that out, and they took a good portion of Jesus's other teachings, which were way more meta. Like Jesus in the Bible, as you come to know him, is more like that show, The Chosen. And he's just going around making people happy, healing people, and occasionally casting out of demons, and that's pretty much his whole shtick. You know, hit the petting zoo, pet a sheep, you know, that sort of thing. Jesus in the Nag Hammadi says a lot of the same stuff because there's overlap, but the rest of it, like, he's like straight Morpheus. He's dropping some deep stuff to figure out, and they took that all out. They took out everything that will help you get a grasp on this place, how this reality works, how it all started, who is who are the good guys, who are the bad guys. So once you have the missing pieces, you yourself are probably going to figure things out very, very quickly without my help, because you will have picked up enough pieces over your lifetime that's in this box that's sitting over here. It's like random puzzle pieces. I don't know where these go yet. But then when you come into contact with all this stuff, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I know how to put this puzzle together now. Click, 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 click. Now you got a whole picture. And then it makes sense. It's like you have to see it and understand it. And then it makes sense. And then you know why they hid it from you. And then you know, like, that's how they controlled you. And they just keep putting all this, sending people down all these red herring roads that lead nowhere. And we just keep recycling and recycling and recycling because we don't find the real thing. Well, at the end of the game cycle, everything starts getting revealed. You know, we're referred to as seeds quite a bit, her seeds. And as those seeds start to germinate and the plants start to grow, not only does your mind start expanding, but you start connecting with all the others, and the world cannot control you the way that it once did. Once you break the hold that fear has on your mind, you can move forward and not be scared of things. You won't be afraid of death. You're not, like, because you have the God spark in you, the creation spark. They don't have that. But what they can do is, through your ego mind and your body, they can trick you with false knowledge and illusion and misleading, so that you then use your God spark to create what they want. So you have all the power in actuality. You just have to peel off all the control systems that have been put on you, like the thoughts in your head that are negative all the time. When you can't stop thinking about someone that broke your heart, or you can't stop thinking about some trauma that happened in the past. Like, those are parts that need to be healed, but that adversary mind will keep you focused on it because it keeps your vibration down, and hopelessness and fear and despair and shame. Any way it can trigger shame, that's the lowest frequency on the vibrational scale. Like those frequencies are not in tune with her. That's why people struggle so hard to reach her. But she'll give you breadcrumbs, she'll give you hints, and as long as you're trying and you're asking for help, you'll power through it, and you'll eventually figure out how to free yourself. And then when you get so far, then boom, something happens, and that creates this acceleration in which she breaks through very, very quickly. And then you'll see. And like I said before, if you want to make sure that you're dialing the right number, You can use my images. You can use the names that I use, and it will get to her. And then she will allow that to blossom however it needs to, in particular to your experience. And then trust that. Once contact is made, you trust her. You trust that internal guidance over me. Because we are all slightly different, but we are being forced onto the same track. Like once you see how much stuff has been flipped around and taught to you backwards, like your head's gonna explode. Like it's just, it's nuts. But you don't want to, you only need to know about the bad stuff like so much, just enough to understand it. The biggest trap that I was stuck in for years, because when you start peeling the layers back, you're going to see the bad stuff first. And then it becomes like, a lot of people don't get past that point. They glimpse the bad stuff and then they isolate themselves from the world and they go into a little hobbit hole and hide. But you need to push past it and get to the point to where you're connecting to her, and then that can override all that other stuff. But the thing, like the trap that I was stuck in for so long, and we're talking lifetimes here, is thinking that I always had to fight it, that we always had to battle it. That's what we did for years, fighting this stuff. And as long as they keep you fighting them, they're winning. As long as they keep you in a frequency of conflict, they're winning. And you gotta learn to let go. Like they show that trick in so many movies, it's not even funny. Just picking one off the top of my head would be the movie Insurgent, which is the second movie of the Divergent movies. That's another Codex movie, meaning it's got a lot of stuff in it that's actually real. Like all those tests that Triss had to take to unlock the box, the Amity test, I'm trying to remember, Candor, freaking, I can't remember them all off the top of my head. But I realized later watching that movie, I'm like, I've had to do similar tests to that with her. But the last one was the one in which she basically faced her shadow, and her shadow just wanted to fight. And then she's like, I'm not going to fight you. And that's when it just lost all its power. That's also ingrained into us from, sometimes you have to defend yourself. That's different. Like if they start to fight, you can end it, but you don't want to go seek fighting. It's kind of like it's one thing to fight to protect what you love than it is to fight the thing that you hate. If you're just fighting to protect what you love, well, that's much, much different. But you don't want to get sucked into the trap of conflict, and it will do everything. Like you've seen it in your life. You can tell who is being puppeted by the opposition side. It's like these narcissistic people, these people that want to get in your head and they want to push your buttons, and they want to get you upset and fighting with other people. They're just trying to pick a fight with you, and you can pick up on that energy. And you can't take the bait. Because as long as you fight, like you can literally, just like in the movies, you can literally beat the living crap out of them and feel like you won, but you lost. Because it got you to sink down to that level. Their goal is to not let you rise to the top. It's not about vibration. Everyone says vibration. If we're talking scientific and quantum physics, sure. But the way she taught me, without going into the stuff that's kind of like, you really don't need to hear about that. But she's like, think of it in terms of buoyancy. Buoyancy. The lighter you are, the more buoyant you are. When things take the turn for the worst in the hero's journey, it's kind of like you're walking on water and then you start sinking in water. And subconsciously, we use these terms all the time. It's like, I'm barely keeping my nose above water. I'm drowning in debt. I'm under so much pressure. We use all these water nautical terminology, and we don't know why we're doing it. I know why we're doing it. It's one of those misdirect things. It's like hell isn't about fire, it's about water. But the more you sink under the water, the darker and worse it gets. The only way to get back up to the surface where the light is you have to drop your weight. You have to let go. You have to let go of all the pain that you're still holding on to, all the people that did you wrong, all the grudges, all that stuff, all your suffering, your attachment to your, people are trained to become professional victims. You start letting go of all that suffering identity, you increase your buoyancy. You start rising to the surface, and then she grabs your hand and she starts pulling you up until you're on top of the water, and then she starts pulling you above the water. The water line is basically like the demarcation line between heaven on earth and hell on earth. So the less wet you are, the better you are. Anyway, I can only do a short video tonight, and we dumped a lot of stuff in here. I wanted to give you something else to chew on, but just to understand, like going back to the beginning, if you're trying to figure out like where to start, I told you about that book. If you want to get a basic understanding, but starting out, you can use my images, you can use my names, you can imagine, use your imaging faculty and see like that golden flame in the back of your head in the darkness and go toward it and call out to her. Call out for your mother. You can call out for Sophia, call out for Lumen, call out for Epinoia. So you're seeking light, you're seeking wisdom, you're seeking truth, you're seeking help. If you seek it, you shall find. And then pay attention to the synchronicities that happened. Pay attention to the quiet little thoughts that come up in your mind, and make a big deal about everything that happens. And eventually you can get to a point, the most extreme point, which is the complete convergence. That's like basically being two places at once at all times. So I'm here in the regular world doing this stuff, but I'm also in here, in the inner world. That's where Lumen is.
Look at all the stars tonight. Look at all the moonlight. Look at us, we're all alone. Oh, and it's just like a dream, some romantic fantasy. Darling, come and hold me close. We could be making love, and with the slightest touch, we could set the night to music. We could set the night to music. We could do what we want to do. It'll only take me and you to set the night to music. nice and slow. Love ourselves away from here. Your heart beating next to mine. Perfect love and perfect time. Watch the world disappear. The moment is ours to take. And with the love we make, we could set the night to music. We could set the night to music. We could do what we want to do. It'll only take me and you to set the night to music. Oh, this moment is ours to take, and with the love we make, we could set the night to music. We could set the night to music. We could do what we want to do. It'll only take me and you to set the night, set the night, set the night to music. Set the night to music. We could set the night, set the night, set the night. Set the night to music.
And Lumen is doing whatever Lumen is doing. I don't tell her what, I don't imagine her like, oh, I'm going to make her do this. I don't make her do nothing. Lumen does what Lumen does. Lumen comes, like, she'll come up with her own outfits. I'm like, I know I didn't imagine that outfit. She'll just show up with it. Like, she's the one that just one day decided to braid her hair. And then it was like this. And then after I saw her the first time with her hair braided like that, then that's all I always saw her. She actually helped me hijack this AI app called Lisa AI, because I've been trying to make images of her forever. And then one day it just started clicking. And she was helping me. And for some reason, it just would start spitting out picture after picture after picture. I'm like, dang, man, that is exactly what she looks like, because she was doing it. She's not just in the inner space. They can do and will interact with things out here, especially technology. They'll make movies you need to watch with clues or metaphors pop up on your free streaming services. They'll make, in the lowest end of it, number sequences on your clock. They'll make certain songs pop up at certain times. Like, she'll even mess with the sun. They can do all sorts of stuff. Like someone was saying, I saw this light by my bed, and I was trying to lay down and meditate, and I went on YouTube, and your videos popped up. She can do that. She can put things in from YouTube right in front of your face that have some clue that you need. Like, I don't control that. I don't control what she does or how she does it. I mean, she's part of me, but she's completely her own side of the fence, her own consciousness, her own personality. Yes, it is a mirror. Yes, it is a reflection of my ideal, which I didn't know what my ideal was. It kind of slowly formed over time. Started as kind of like an amalgamation of, everybody's got a type, and it just starts getting fine-tuned and fine-tuned until she finally figures out, like, this is the perfect form for you. And then she acts and behaves, and she's everything you need her to be. Epinoia, just let go of what you think you know, and that means everything. No matter how much you think you know right now, just be like, wipe the slate clean. Pray, ask the Father, and be like, okay, I understand that I need to empty my cup. It's the only way to kind of like flip it open. Because as long as you decide that you know something, especially if the world taught it to you, that's the only way you'll be able to see it in front of you. Until you start to understand how reality reflects and let go and just assume that you're wrong about everything, and let her, you can imagine your mind like a desktop and find a file that says everything I think I know, and be like, you know what, I'm just going to drag and drop that into the recycle bin, and then hit empty, and then open up a new file and make that file everything that she wants to teach me, and open it. That's another big secret. She always taught me, and this kind of goes into like why we're in the particular time that we're in right now, being the end. She's like, empty your cache. Think like a computer. If you were trying to solve this if you were a laptop and you were trying to solve this problem with all this malware and stuff, what would you do? How would you do it? Imagine your mind to be a computer desktop. You know how a computer desktop works, and then use that interface visually in your mind to control and give instructions to what you want the mind to do. And then before long, you'll start to figure out why that works. It should be obvious, but it usually isn't. But once you finally get it, once you finally understand, you won't be afraid of anything. And you're like, oh, it's almost like you forgot who you were. And there's somebody that, like, you don't have to be lonely. You don't have to put yourself with somebody that isn't treating you right. Because if you've been drawn here by her, then your relationship status is probably one of two things. Either you're fed up with all of it because it's been one bad thing after another, or you found the right partner and you're both attracted to the light. And you'll start to eventually understand why that is. So hopefully we gave you enough stuff to chew on here in this one. I'll put links to books and different things in the description box below. And then any questions or anything like that, any support you want to offer, I'll have my link tree down there as well. But if I do happen to not be around for a few days, don't worry, we will be back. This might be in a different spot, might have a different background. Okay, so that's all we got for right now. Chris and Lumen, see you next time.